Welcome to the Unwatchables. The two movies we're going to be talking about today are Bohemian Rhapsody, which we're calling a no-timer, and the Nutcracker 2018 film, which we are calling a one-timer. This is Marcus, and today I'm joined by Matt.
Hey.
And we're first going to start off with Bohemian Rhapsody. So, Matt, what were your overall impressions of Bohemian Rhapsody?
I didn't like it that much. The perfect way I would describe this movie is that it's boring. A lot of it has to do with the conflict. There's not a lot of real conflict. There's not a lot of heavy conflict. The first hour, they don't really face a lot of challenges, so the movie's just, it's kind of boring. I mean, it definitely didn't give anything new. I do think it was a conscious choice for them to paint this in more of an optimistic way, but it just made for a boring movie, unfortunately. It felt kind of like a documentary.
Yeah. I feel like with this movie, I mean, yeah, you raised a really good point. It almost felt like a behind the music mini documentary that they would do, but not as well. I mean, I feel like with this film, I mean, let's say you compare it to other biopic movie-related films that have come out recently, especially when we look at how much money Bohemian Rhapsody's made. At least up until this moment right now, the film's made $311 million worldwide. So I think you can compare it to other big-budget or high-grossing music-related biopics, right? So let's say you compare it to Straight Outta Compton, right? With Straight Outta Compton, you saw character development with, Ice-T, or sorry, not Ice-T, Ice Cube, Eazy and Dr. Dre, right? Like, you saw the development that they had, you saw them making music, you saw them actually have an arc, and you saw how they felt about the music itself, right? In this film, for Bohemian Rhapsody, it's just all about Freddie. It's not really about them making music. It's not really about them saying why they love music. It's just Freddie. And I mean, the only song in the film you actually see them really make is Bohemian Rhapsody. And they talk about, their thought process, everything like that. And then the song Love of My Life. Love of My Life, that's the only song that there's any heart to it. And there's any kind of depth behind it. But every other song in the film is just, we just made it. I mean, even Bohemian Rhapsody, they were talking to a record label guy or whatever, and they just said, well, we're going to do an opera rock song. And that was it. There was no heart. There was no, what does this song actually mean? What are we trying to convey to audiences? And, I mean, it just kind of speaks to the whole point of this film that there's very little to no heart in this movie.
Yeah, I agree, which is sad because, obviously a great band. I would say, obviously, their music's got a lot of great heart. Their popularity as a band is, the reason why this movie's made as much money as it did. I don't think there's anything else the movie really has going for it. And it's sad. Yeah, it's kind of sad that they just didn't step on those beats during it. It was strange. It almost felt like a weird, play that was done by, a high school or something. Just people just want to have fun and, go through the story or something. The more I think about it, I feel like, considering, the band members were really involved with the movie and the script, and they had final sign-off, I mean, I think they're paying a tribute to Freddie, just, at least to some extent. A lot of people know his story already, and I think they were expecting it to get worse and to get darker. I mean, even when they handled the scene where he gets the news, I thought it was pretty cool. The whole sunglasses shot, the reflection.
Oh, yeah, when he's, leaving the hospital.
Yeah, and, but, it just didn't sink in. And then it was a pretty big step after that. It was a quick step, after that. And then the movie was over. Yeah. I don't know where was the emotion? Where was, the mourning? I mean, I was watching some, YouTube coverage of when he died and interviews and seeing all the people he touched and seeing how there was people just waiting outside of his room on the street, thousands of people crying, lighting candles. And it's just that emotion I got when I was watching that wasn't at all captured in the movie, unfortunately. So it just made it boring.
No, I mean, I think that's ultimately the crux of the argument for this film is that it's boring and really, I mean, who's it for? I mean, if you're not a big Queen fan, I don't think you'd like it. Do you think you'd like it? If you're a person that vaguely knows Queen's music, like you only know Bohemian Rhapsody, We Will Rock You, and We Are the Champions, let's say, right? I mean, is this movie really for you? If you only know, 3 of their songs or something like that?
The thing, I feel like the movie was made thinking about those people because everybody else who was fans of it were gonna go watch it anyways. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you only know those songs, I mean, I'm not a big Queen fan. I know a little bit more than that, but coming in and just like watching it, yeah, I guess what you said, like the lack of heart when they went to go create the songs, it made those songs seem less special, like during the movie, and those are the ones that they're known for the most. So I thought that would have been like really grand and big moment during the movie, and it wasn't. So for the people who aren't crazy Queen fans, I feel like it's just going to seem lackluster because they've heard the songs, they know the level that the songs operate on. The movie should have done the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, for us, one of our favorite bands is Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I feel like I was thinking about this when I was watching Bohemian Rhapsody. If they made a Red Hot Chili Pepper movie, and if they treated it the same way, if it was just, we saw, Anthony Kiedis, the whatever actor was playing him, and Flea, they were meeting with the actor playing Rick Rubin, and Rubin told them, oh yeah, I want you guys to have a 5-minute song about California. And Anthony just said, oh yeah, we can do that. Or he came to them and said, yeah, we got this song called Californication, which is a made up word we just made up. I feel like if you were just sold on it like that, it would just sound very heartless. It would just sound very commercial. And they said, okay, this is good or bad. I mean, I would rather watch a movie that went into depth about what they thought, why they love music. And this film too, I feel like you never got that message was never conveyed to you. I feel that Freddie actually loved music.
Yeah. I mean, it's not any dig, obviously, to the real Freddie, but like, in the movie, it felt that way exactly. It felt like a lot of them didn't really care. It felt like it was their job.
Exactly, like they were good at it, and Freddie liked to sing, and he liked to be the center of attention. The film portrays that, but it doesn't actually convey the idea that, like Freddie, he loved singing, and he loved playing piano, and he loved studying music, and he loved creating music. Instead, it was just, oh yeah, you guys need a singer. And that was it. And to me, it's also weird, too, I feel like, with this film, because of the fact, like you mentioned earlier, that some of the living band members of Queen, at least Brian May, and I forgot the other band member, that had the creative control over the script and got to see the film and had creative input. I mean, it's weird to me that Brian May, who also said that, they struggled for 10 years getting the film made. That for 10 years, the film was in production hell. Yeah, at one point, Sacha Baron Cohen was attached to play Freddie. That it's surprising to me that they would put so much effort into making this film that doesn't actually show Brian May or any of the other band members as anything. I mean, you see...
Yeah, they're just there.
Yeah, they're just there. Like the bass player, I don't know his name, but, he's sitting down and he creates Another One Bites the Dust, and it just sounds like, he just, boom, boom, boom. He's just sitting there on the bass, and it's like, oh, okay, so that's how you created that song, was he just kind of slapped it together when Freddie, and I think in that scene, it's Freddie and the drummer are fighting, and he comes, I got this sick lick. And it's like, and that was it? I mean, it seemed like the whole, like after watching the movie, I felt like it's Freddie and the Freddieettes. Like it was, everybody else was just, they all revolved around Freddie's orbit. And obviously Freddie is the biggest band member of Queen, but it's not like the other guys, it's not like they're slouches. It's not like the Jimi Hendrix Experience where it's Jimmy and other guys, or it's not like it's Bob Dylan. It's Bob Dylan and whatever guitarist he has that's touring with them at the time. I mean, they were called Queen for a reason.
Yeah. I guess they do have that line. He says, we're all stars. So I don't know if they were purposely trying to do that. And I guess the part with when they were making up, We Will Rock You and all of that, that was Freddie coming into that. I mean, at least that showed them in a little bit more doing some action. But I think a big problem is it's like without going too far emotional, already the songs are just gonna feel like those scenes of them creating the songs are already just gonna feel lackluster. Because like you see like a lot of these musicians, they go through a lot of pain, and you can see their music is comes out of that pain. And I don't know if you necessarily have to experience that much pain, but there's something to be said. If you are living through rough things in your life, you can write. I mean, at least the musicians are able to write music out of it, right? It's like a therapy for them.
Yeah.
And I think since the movie lacked that, it just it didn't make those scenes important at all. And I don't. Yeah, I mean, it definitely didn't feel like a band. I mean, I'd agree with you. It just felt like Freddie, and then his. I mean, it followed him. It followed his personal struggle. I don't think there was anything about anybody else personal-wise other than the fact that like they're trying to balance their family life. And
I mean, we saw Freddie in the film. We saw 5 different scenes of Freddie basically about to engage with some random guy. And then the other bandmates, it's like, oh, all of a sudden all 3 of them are married and have kids.
Yeah. Well,
and their wives don't even get speaking time in the film.
Yeah.
So it's like
true.
we see...
Well, one lady, I think, did.
We see Freddie, like the interaction that he had with the guy at the gas station, right? It's like we know more about that truck driver than we know about Brian May's wife in the film. All we know is that he's married because he brings a woman with him to recording once. It's like, oh, I guess that's his wife.
Yeah, I mean, it was very much a movie about Freddie and nobody else.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I feel like after watching this movie, I guess a good question to ask is, is Bryan Singer a good director?
I mean, he's done good movies.
Yeah, but how many bad movies has he done now? Okay, so he did...
I guess that's a whole nother podcast.
Well, yeah, but it's like, okay, so he did Jack the Giant Killer, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't great. He did X-Men Apocalypse, which was horrible. He did, I'm just trying to think. He did the bad Superman movie, right? The Superman Returns sucked. The Jack the Giant Killer, X-Men Apocalypse, and Bohemian Rhapsody. So, I don't know. I mean, when you've only directed twice as many bad movies or twice as many good movies as he's done bad movies, I mean, does that make you a mediocre director?
I guess you can argue that. Didn't he do the first... He did the first 2 X-Men.
Yeah, so he did he did The Usual Suspects, the first 2 X-Men.
Well, I like the first 2 X-Men. The Usual Suspects is regarded actually as a really good movie.
Yeah, I know that's highly regarded.
I
didn't care
I
that
think
much
it's
for the
really well written. I didn't like the execution of it.
Okay.
I think Christopher McQuarrie wrote it really good, but I don't think that the execution was that good on it.
I feel like Usual Suspects has a little bit of that element of, because everyone has talked it up so much,
it just has that.
Yeah, now it has
feel.
that pristine of like, you can't touch it. Right? It's like Citizen Kane. Like, if someone were to watch the film now and they were a film critic, at least in today's world, if they said something like, "Oh, it's an okay movie," if someone said Citizen Kane, that's a big movie guy, right? If he was like, "Oh, the movie is just okay," then people would totally ridicule him, right? They'd be like, "Oh, this guy, he's just trying to do a hot take." And I feel like that about Usual Suspects. It's like, you can't come out and just say, "Oh, that movie sucked."
Yeah.
It's highly regarded, right? So for Bryan Singer, yeah, so he has. I think Days of Future Past is actually my favorite X-Men, and he did that. So maybe he did 3 good X-Men and Usual Suspects. So he had 4 good films, right, or great films, you could say. And then he's got 4 pretty bad films. I mean, I don't know how many more films he's gonna do after this, because he got caught up in the whole, sexual predatory actions and stuff with that guy and the minor that he did this stuff with. But
it's disgusting.
Yeah, no, it is disgusting. I don't know. I mean, the last time I heard is that I think it was Netflix or Amazon is working with him to do a Red Sonja movie, which is like Conan the Barbarian's girlfriend.
Oh, I was thinking Sonja from Mortal Kombat.
Oh, no. So, I mean, I guess he's attached to do that film, but I don't know. I just feel like I don't know if he's a good director, to be honest with you. I don't know.
I don't know either. The thing is, I don't think it matters how good somebody is. They can always screw up a movie. Because not every good director can direct every movie.
No.
And also, if you do look at a lot of the great directors, you can find bad movies. There's very few directors who actually, I mean, they can even be called good, but there's very few that'll have way more good than bad.
I'll give you that.
You know, they like every director definitely has a bad movie, but like there's no way every director has more. I mean, if it's more good than bad, it's not that much more. There's a few gems, but
yeah, but I mean, I get what you're saying. That it's one thing if you have a director like Quentin Tarantino, right? Let's say so he's done 8 films, right? If he has 5 that are, let's say, in a letter A grade, right? And then he has, let's say, 2 that are B's and 1 that's a D or C, right? Then you could say, okay, you aggregate it and you say he's a B plus director, right? On his own scale. But if you look at Bryan Singer, if he has 4 A's and 4 F's, doesn't that make him a C?
Well,
and doesn't C make you mediocre?
Yeah, but you can't compare it that way because one movie that's really good is not going to necessarily weigh. It could weigh more in the scale than a bad movie, Well,
because no one even remembers Jack the Giant Killer.
Exactly.
People still talk about those 4 good Bryan Singer films. People forget about Jack the Giant. I mean, or Superman Returns. No one even remembers Bryan Singer did that.
Yeah, I think sometimes people remember that movie happened. But
yeah, it's very, just I think I remember seeing that, and it doesn't carry much weight to it. I just feel like with Bryan Singer, it's weird to me that he did this film, and it's also, because he got pulled right at the end of it too, right? I mean, it's weird to me that Bryan Singer's legal problems keep coming up right before a movie's about to release, like when X-Men Days of Future Past about to come out, like he was going to court with that guy that was suing him, right?
Yeah.
And then something happened right before X-Men Apocalypse happened, and then during the filming of this film, obviously, the Me Too stuff broke while, the filming was happening, so, they had to kind of nix him, but he still gets director credits.
Yeah, he had enough on it to get
So I think credit. He did almost the entire film, right?
No.
Or most of it?
That doesn't mean that.
But it was his direction, would you say?
I mean, I don't know. Honestly, it's really hard to say. Like, I would probably say no. I mean, I think somebody, once they get in there and they put their hands on it, it becomes theirs, Mm-hmm. It's hard to follow someone else's direction unless everybody else, I guess, on set gets exactly what he wanted. I don't know.
But maybe when Bryan Singer left, maybe the only thing that was left to do was just record them at the Wembley Stadium. They were just said, let's just make it into one big music video. Well, because I saw the actor, he was on, I think it was Jimmy Fallon, and he's like, the first day of filming, they wanted me to sing as Freddie at the Live Aid concert. But yeah, maybe they just had one song initially, and then that's why the last 18 minutes of the film is just a scene-for-scene recreation of something you can watch on YouTube, which is the Live Aid concert that Queen plays, and it's
with some terrible CG crowd.
Yeah, it's some terrible.
You can't knock a movie like this for that, obviously. But like, A Star Is Born had a way of sneaking in real audiences.
Yeah, and I think that's another fair movie to compare this one to. Is that Bohemian Rhapsody, at least last time I looked, has made more money than A Star Is Born, right? So, and these films they suffer from this. I guess they had the same issue that. The 2 leads of those 2 films, A Star Is Born and Bohemian Rhapsody, are actors pretending to be singers, right? And obviously, with Bradley Cooper playing the character that he played, there's a lot more free reign to just kind of do whatever you want to. It's not based on any. I mean, it's a remake, but it's not like it's based on an actual human being, right? Whereas for Freddie Mercury, you're playing Freddie, right? And there's higher standards. But it's like that film was an actual film. I mean, like Queen, I just feel like in this film too, it's like a thing would happen and another thing would happen, another thing would happen, but there was no actual coherent storytelling. It was like, oh, we met up as a band. Okay. And then he goes into the women's clothing store to see the girl he likes. It's like, oh, okay. And then, they make a couple hit songs and, they are going to get signed by that big wig guy in England. And it's like, oh, okay. And it just felt like one thing would happen, another thing would happen. And, I mean, maybe it was realistic because that is kind of how life actually is, where there's no deeper storyline that's actually going, coherently running through everything that happens. But, like, at least in A Star Is Born, it was like, this thing happens, and it leads to another thing, and there's a pathway that you can actually, the audience can follow along with.
Well, I guess another thing that I think negatively affected the movie was the time jump. I think there were. I mean, there was definitely one time jump that they write out. Right? They say like a year and a half later when he's at the bus station. But wasn't there like another time jump? Because I mean, Freddie Mercury was like in his 40s when he died.
Yeah, I think Freddie was like 45.
There obviously had to be. Was there? I don't remember if there was another time they actually said it, but there had to be another time. I guess the other time jump was guys like, oh yeah, he's got kids now and everything, and like.
But then there's the one. Remember where Freddie has the drummer in his house, and Freddie has the mustache, and there's. I think he's showing him a photo of. I forgot who he's showing a photo of. And then and I think at that point there had been a time jump again because Freddie has short hair.
Did they say it though? Did they?
No, they didn't. That's another thing that kind of confused me too.
He didn't look different enough. You know, it's a hard thing to sell, but like.
Yeah. Well, that was the other thing about the film is that as a person that I would consider myself I like Queen's music, but I'm not like a historian about the band. I don't know which song came out like which year and stuff. I know they primarily made most of their hits in the 70s and 80s, obviously because Freddie died in the early 90s, but. I mean, yeah, I didn't even walk away knowing more knowledge about them. Like, I didn't know what year these... Like, it's weird. In my mind, you know, it's interesting to me that they don't reference the fact that when Queen was big in the 70s, like, Led Zeppelin is big in the 70s, right? And they don't mention any other musicians. They don't mention collaborating with other musicians. I mean, Freddie Mercury, he did a duet with Michael Jackson. David Bowie worked with them on Under Pressure.
Yeah.
And they don't mention any of that stuff. Yeah. It's like...
I was thinking about that when I was watching the movie, and I'm like, okay, well, this is obviously very, very much about him. Or about them, but more about him. And they would have put that in, obviously, if they didn't want to do that. At least that's the only thing I feel like they were going for. I don't think it was good. Well, I don't know. It would have been weird to put them in the movie. But yeah, at least mention it, you know?
Yeah, they could have mentioned... I feel like...
Ground it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's really timeline-wise. Like, the film doesn't actually... Like I said, I didn't learn. I mean, I'm not saying they have to say it every time that, oh, you know, we released Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy in, let's just say, 1978. They didn't have to do that with every single song where they say the single was released this year. But literally, as I'm watching the movie, I feel like I had no idea like, if I didn't know what I knew about them going into the film, I would have, like, almost no idea when all of this stuff was happening. They don't make... I don't think they really make it clear. They don't make it clear that the film takes place over the course of 15 years.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's what I was saying, and I think that kind of... You know, that's one thing that Straight Outta Compton did pretty good. It was very clear, the chapters in their life, which, you know, it kind of had like that episodic feel.
It did.
But it worked. But, I mean, if you're going to go... Queen or Bohemian Rhapsody is basically episodic too, in the fact that it has the time... I mean, that means episodic, at least to me, it kind of has that feel, but... Since they didn't define it as well, it definitely didn't work nearly as good as it did in Straight Outta Compton.
No, Straight Outta Compton, it was very cohesive. And, you know, maybe someone can make the argument and say, well, you know, NWA only made music for, 5 or 6 years, so it was less time to cover. But, I mean, I still think... in Straight Outta Compton, it was very concise, and you had an idea, like, when they were making music to break in, and you really caught that.
Yeah, well, that's like pacing wise, like you feel the build up and the start, and you feel it go to the middle and the climax, and you feel the downfall, and when they're, you know, and all that kind of stuff, like those different beats that you have in a story.
Yeah, normal movies that follow a structure.
But Bohemian Rhapsody, I just didn't feel like it had that. I mean, I guess if you went down on paper, you could write down the big points where the story started moving and like the turning points and find where they started moving in a different direction.
No.
But it was just like, I mean, well, first off, there wasn't enough of them, and it wasn't straightforward enough what was going on. And then third off, which we already talked about, there just wasn't enough emotion.
I mean, I just feel like with this film, it'd almost be like if we were going to make a Simon and Garfunkel film, and we just said, okay, we're just going to take random scenes from here or there and just kind of make a movie out of it. And yeah, I just feel like that's what kind of makes the movie a mess. And that's why I honestly feel that if you're a big Queen fan, you're not going to learn anything new from this film. And if you're not a Queen fan, or you're just, you know a couple of their songs, then I think you're going to be bored.
Yeah,
you're not going to care.
Yeah, for that reason, I'd call it a no-timer.
I would certainly call it a no-timer.
Just go watch interviews of Freddie Mercury, go watch interviews of the band, go watch documentary. All of that's going to be, Gonna be better.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that there's a behind the music.
VH1.
Yeah, VH1 behind the music that you can probably find on YouTube and watch it for free. That's probably 50 minutes long or an hour and 10 minutes long that chronicles all of this stuff that you'll actually be more entertained with.
It's probably more dramatized.
Yeah, I mean, that's another thing too. I feel like in this film, like actor that played Brian May, for example. I mean, I get that you want to look like the person you're portraying.
He did look like
but
him.
he looks so much like him that it could have actually been him.
I know.
And it's like, that's why we have actors, though. We have actors so that way they can actually look a little different. I mean, like, remember, what was that film, Tag, that came out? Remember Tag? So, like, you know, that cast was John Hamm and Jeremy Renner. And, like, I mean, like, especially John Hamm, obviously, he's like a GQ model type of looking guy, right? And it's like, those are the actors that are portraying them. And then at the end of the film, they actually show the photos of the real guys.
Like,
and they're like, you know, they're typical dad body guys. You know, they're 50-year-old guys. They're bald. They're fat. They're wearing polos. They're wearing khaki pants and the polos tucked in. And you're like, wait a minute. That guy was John Hamm?
Yeah.
John Hamm in the film, who's an extremely wealthy CEO of a big company, is extremely good looking, and in real life the guy that he was playing was a tire salesman, lived in, you know, wherever, lived in Omaha, and it was, you know, overweight and wore khaki pants and tucked in his polo, and you could see his gut over his pants. It's like, that's what Hollywood's for, is they take the people that don't look good. And obviously Brian May, I mean, obviously he didn't look bad, he looks like a, you know, this looks fine, but it's just weird that they found an actor to look exactly like a clone of him.
They probably thought it was going to be better. But then at the same time, like, I mean, if you look at Sacha Baron Cohen, look-wise, I mean, he looks more like Freddie Mercury, and, like, I feel like I would have preferred to see that look more in the movie than
Rami Malek.
Rami.
Yeah. Remy.
I mean, he's got a very, you know, peculiar look.
I mean, everybody, obviously, I mean, this isn't, like, new. I mean, everybody is praising his performance. Yeah. They say how good he is. And, I mean, I don't really like Sacha Baron Cohen, so I'm fine with that portrayal. I think he did good, but, I mean, I think there's only so much you could do, you know, when it's just...
Yeah, I don't think it was... Yeah, a dig on him. It was a story and structure problem.
Yeah, but I mean, at least with him, I mean, you could see where it's like, okay, he doesn't look exactly like Freddie. He's his own interpretation look. Yeah, that's the thought with Brian May. It's like, this guy literally looks like you casted like Brian May's son. It looked like Brian May Jr. played his dad, right?
It did look a lot like him. The hair helped, you know.
Yeah, no, that hair
Obviously.
did. But even, the whole body structure and everything like that. So yeah, so we'll definitely say for Bohemian Rhapsody, it's a no timer. I mean, honestly, I mean, maybe in 6 months from now when it's on Netflix, you could probably watch it over the course of a week. And if you watch 15 minutes at a time, you're literally not going to miss anything. You could watch this film in 8 sittings, 10 minutes at a time, or whatever, 15 minutes at a time, 13 minutes at a time, and you're not going to miss anything. As long as you don't leave directly in the middle of a scene. Once the scene cuts to a new location, you can just drop it. You don't have to come back. There's literally... I've never seen a movie have so little structure like that. It's just scenes are happening. So now we're on to the next film, which is the Nutcracker 2018 edition.
And the Four Realms.
And the Four Realms of Disney. And yeah, we're calling this a one-timer. But to be completely honest with you, both Bohemian Rhapsody and Nutcracker, I think they could both be no-timers or one-timers. So Matt, yeah, what were your overall opinions of the Nutcrackers and the four realms?
The Nutcrackers. You know, when I watch a movie like this, every time I watch a movie like this, it just reminds me of how important it is having the expectations, whether they be low or high. You know, that's so dependent on if you're gonna like or not like a movie, I think.
What were your expectations about this, though?
Very low.
Yeah, they were. Mine couldn't be any lower.
Incredibly low. And I'm not saying the movie's good.
No.
But is it worth a watch? Like, here, this is where I say it's a one-timer. I mean, visually, it's really cool. But, like, you know, it's getting to the Christmas time. If it was cold out, you know, go watch the movie. I mean, it's like a Christmas movie, kind of. I know you had said before we started talking on this that it did come out too early, and I agree with you. I think if it came out closer to Christmas, it would make a little more sense.
It came out November 2nd.
But it ended up being better than I thought it was going to be. I really liked some of the visuals. They didn't look as bad as I thought. They used more practical stuff than I thought they would. I liked the costumes and everything, and some of the sets were really well done. Yeah. Like the sets are high quality.
Well, the ballet scene.
Oh yeah, the ballet.
There's a ballet scene.
Was really cool. The ballet and the music for the most part is used pretty good. I think there could have been a couple more like integration of it into like the battle scenes and the stuff where like the girls running and all of that. And I kind of wish that they had tied it into the actual score of the movie more, as opposed to kind of separating them. But yeah, no, the ballet scene was really cool. The house, the Christmas party at the beginning was was awesome. I like
the stuff before she goes to the Four Realms. I'd be more interested to watch that movie. Almost.
Yeah, I started liking the movie already just because at the beginning, like, it looked really cool. I mean, it kind of has like a Harry Potter vibe a little bit, which kind of
reminds you of like a Charles Dickens play or something like that.
A little bit. And then the castle. Some of the rooms of the castle are actually not bad. The costumes of the other realm leaders, the frost guy and the flower guy, that was a little much. I thought they could have toned that down. I did hate Keira Knightley's voice. She talked like that. I don't get it.
We definitely have to talk about Keira Knightley's voice.
We could do a whole nother podcast about Keira Knightley in this movie.
Yeah, I mean, she is.
Because I like Keira Knightley a lot.
I mean, the weirdest thing about her is that, yeah, I mean, she's done a lot of films where she's good, but that role was, I don't know, but I think the reason, again, what you kind of point out, that the reason why this film might be a one-timer is 3 years from now, you might be at your girlfriend's house, and it's December 10th, or around that time, and...
Did you say 30 years?
No, 3 years.
So it's 30 years.
3 years from now, you might be at your girlfriend's house, and, you know, her aunt's gonna be there, and all these family members are walking around, and you're gonna think to yourself, like, oh my gosh, I'm so bored out of my mind. And then someone's gonna have the Nutcracker on TNT, and you might be watching, and you might say, oh, this movie's not terribly bad, when there's all these commercial breaks and you're on your cell phone looking at the score of some game. It might not be bad in that context. In the context of you get paid $17 an hour and you have just paid $12 to spend 2 hours watching the Nutcracker.
Assume you even make $17 an hour.
Yeah, if you make $12 an hour and you have to pay an hour's worth of labor to spend 2 hours watching this film, it is completely not worth your money. But if we're talking, you know, your kid puts on Nutcracker on Netflix and you're just in the background reading a book, or you're whatever, it's
kind of circumstantial.
Yeah, it's a great. I think it might not be a bad film if you're doing something else at the same time.
See, I'd go a little further than that. Especially once it hits streaming. You know, if you have streaming, like, watch it. Like, especially, if you're in the mood for any type of just a Christmassy type movie, I think it's worth a watch if it's on the streaming service that you already paid for. At the very least, I would call it a one-timer just for that. I don't think it's so bad that, like, you want to just turn it off. I mean, there's better things you can do with your time, yes. It has interesting points, and some of the performances aren't terrible. The lead,
the lead literally, so the girl that's the lead, I've only ever seen her in one other film, and she's in the Twilight films. She's the daughter of Bella, and Edward. Bella. Yeah, like the main people of Twilight. She's their daughter. So the last time I saw her in a film, I was thinking this to myself, is that she's on top of the wolf version of Jacob, right? And she's like 11 years old. Remember did you ever see Twilight, the fourth movie?
I didn't see it, no.
I think somehow I watched 1, 3, and 4.
Oh, okay. Jacob's Taylor Lautner?
Yeah.
He's in those movies, right?
He's a guy, he's Shark Boy.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's him, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so... And that film, he falls in love with her,
right?
The girl, because she grows up real fast. Anyway, so I haven't seen her in 6 years in a film, And the last time Twilight came out was also around Christmas time, so it's almost like, I don't know, what she did for 6 years and then came back at Christmas. And yeah, I feel like for this film, I mean, she was good when she was like a normal girl. I mean, I feel like this film kind of reminded me in a sense like they try to copy what Tim Burton did with Alice in Wonderland 8 years ago when they turned the female lead into this like warrior princess vibe. And I mean, if you're gonna have a warrior princess film, you should just like make her a warrior princess, because in this film it's like she goes from being a girl that is in 1880s Victorian England, and at first she's very curious and she's shy and very inquisitive, and that's like, okay, there's some character here. And then the last 30 minutes of the film, she's trying to assemble an army and take down an evil witch. And to me, it just, I mean, she was doing what they told her to do, but like, it's certainly just kind of like, it's like, oh, okay. I mean, that was an interesting direction.
Yeah, I like the whole like mom leaving this to her kind of thing, which make her the queen, But the thing is, they start her off obviously being like a very intelligent, like technically inclined girl.
Yeah.
Like she fixed the little thing for Morgan Freeman, the little merry-go-round duck thing. I thought that was going to become part of her. Like the way, I mean, I know that she got off the tower with the curtains and the soldier. She's like, oh, it's science, it was the weight distribution, right? And the way that it twirled was going to stop her. I think her beating evil Queen Plum, Keira Knightley, could have been, it should have like, dove into that more. I thought that she was gonna like create something, or there was gonna be more of this like her going in and fixing clogs and stuff like that, and there really wasn't.
Instead of the film like playing up the characteristics that they had been building her up with, which was cleverness, and like intelligence, instead the film devolves into Helen Mirren, right?
Yeah.
That 85-year-old woman and this girl,
for age,
they're fighting CG toy robots.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to put this in perspective, I mean, the end of the film is Helen Mirren and the lead protagonist, they're fighting toy robots while Keira Knightley is trying to shoot a zapper gun that turns toys into warriors.
It was strange.
And it's strange. And, another thing, you brought up the fact that this girl was the rightful queen. Well, in the film, the lead girl, she has an older sister and a younger brother. Technically, wouldn't that make the sister the queen? And also...
Well, she was the one who was chosen by her mom, though.
Yeah, but that's another thing, too. The mom
gave her the key.
Well, I think it's funny about this film is that the girl in the whole film, for most of it, she doesn't even know this world exists, the Four Realms, right? She doesn't even know it exists. And I think she even says a line like, oh, my mom never mentioned this to me. But then there's a flashback that looked like it happened like 1 year before the film happens, in which the mom clearly says to her, there is another realm that exists, and I've transformed toys into living beings. Yeah. And it's like, how did that girl... She just glossed over that?
I guess. I don't know. I mean, obviously a big plot hole.
And did you get the vibe during the film? So in the film, the main girl's mom, like, she has the zapper that transforms toys into like living beings. Did you get the vibe that the main girl's dad was a toy? Because he kind of acted like a toy a little bit.
I mean,
he kind of acted like a dopey follower of the mom.
I think yeah, maybe. I mean, that was... I thought about that while watching the movie, but like, I'm like, well, I think she's just playing like, depressed dad who lost his wife, doesn't know how to handle 3 kids, and doesn't know how to be emotional about it. He's not accepting it, I mean... He's not being a father to his kids, and they have a real touching moment though. I mean, I think that was honestly, that should have been the heart of the movie. Was that she's going through time, like they do like the little clock thing. She comes out.
Oh, and she sees her dad crying.
Yeah,
like,
they show that time.
He's so depressed.
But like, yeah, the guy was just so...
He's so robotic that it makes you think he's an act. Because in this film, there are actual...
That'd be a weird twist.
There are actual lifeless toys that have come to life, and they worship the mom, right? And yeah, you actually think maybe this guy is...
the toys had more lives too
than the dad.
Yeah.
Well, that's another thing too about this film is that those are a couple characters that really make me kind of think. The first one being the dad, and Morgan Freeman. Now I don't know if because Morgan Freeman got hit with Me Too stuff as well. I don't know if they cut out scenes of his, but your perception of the film going in is that Morgan Freeman knows all about this world and he's super involved in this realm. After watching the film, Morgan Freeman looks like he was on set for a week. He's only in how many minutes of the movie do you think he's even in?
10.
Do you think 10? I think it's 6.
I don't know. I'm also thinking of as Al, which isn't him. What was the Al anyways?
Yeah, the Al.
Keep an eye on her.
Yeah,
the Al could go, did nothing.
Yeah, the Al could go between dimensions and doesn't do jack crap. And Morgan Freeman, that's another one too. I mean, he has, for some unknown reason, he has an eye patch. He knows about the other realm, I guess, but doesn't actually go there. And there's so many questions that I just feel like too with this film. I wonder, that is a question I wonder if they cut out a bunch of his scenes because they want to make him less prominent in the film.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that.
For marketing reasons, but I just feel like you might as well just cut him out altogether because he doesn't do anything. Once she gets into the 4 realms, she never even alludes to him ever again.
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. Then I'm like, okay, well, she's going to go back to the real world at some point to whatever she thinks she can't help the realm or she needs something, and I thought he would be the one she goes to. Or that could have been a great way to tie the father. Like, I think the father should have ended up with her and been able to see what the mom did and seen what the daughter accomplished. That could have been the way they bonded and also accepted the fact that their mom's dead.
Yeah,
but she did nothing. Nothing happened. Her little moment was 5 minutes of her doubting, Philip. What's the Nutcracker?
Yeah.
The Nutcracker soldier. What was his name? Philip.
I think it was something. I mean, again, and that's the thing too in this film is that, there's so many loose ends for this film. So in the film, she meets this guy Philip, and I mean, I interpreted it to be that he was attracted to her. Like he kind of seemed like he liked her. And they kind of build it up where you think, oh, she's going to end up with the Nutcracker Philip guy. No. At the end, she gives him you're a good friend. Almost like what Talia Ghul did to Bane. To Bane, I did all this for you. I captured a city for you. And you're my dearest friend. Now go explode with the city. Yeah. And she tells him, oh, you're my dearest toy friend that I've known for a day. And so I mean, she leaves him. And basically, this film was almost like a crazy 36 hours in the Nutcracker realm. I mean, she doesn't even make a promise to go back.
Well, I thought this would be left open for the sequel.
But because the film didn't make enough money,
but
now we're stuck with this, and we definitely got to cover Keira Knightley's depiction as.
Oh yeah. Keira Knightley, weird voice, weird sexual innuendo writing. Not even innuendos.
No, it's not even. Here's the thing. I mean,
on the nose.
If you're listening to us talk about this and you're thinking, oh, well, these guys are just, they're just reading into naughtiness that Keira Knightley said. No, if you were to watch the film, there's when Keira Knightley brings the toy soldiers to life or whatever, turns them into big walking.
Yeah, these are killings. The evil ones.
The evil ones.
They're Tin Men. They're not really because they're 10.
Yeah, so they look like terrible CG Tin Men.
Yeah, but they're not humans.
Yeah, they don't look human. They look
because they were empty metal guys.
Yeah, so I mean,
they don't have life.
Yeah, so if she literally in her description of them when she brings them to life, what are some lines she says? Men in uniform make me quiver.
Yeah, that was the one. She's like, "Oh, man in uniform really makes me quiver."
And then what else did she say? There's like 3 more things that she.
There was what was the other one?
Makes me quiver. Yeah, there's.
I can't remember.
There's a sequence over the course of 10 minutes. Keira Knightley makes 2 or 3 sexually explicit remarks about men, like burly men or military men. And again, you gotta think this. I mean, so yeah, maybe you're listening to this and you're saying, well, Marks and Matt, you guys aren't the audience for Nutcracker. And to an extent, yeah, I guess you can make that statement. I mean, if you're releasing a film, any studio that's releasing a film wants as many people to see it as possible. So, but yeah, you could say, okay, Nutcracker's meant for children. Okay, so let's go by that logic. If you're a mom and you're watching Nutcracker with your 10-year-old kid in the theaters. I mean, literally, Keira Knightley's talking about having sex with soldiers.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, like, that's not for children.
The moms who watch 50 Shades of Grey will probably like that one. Will like that line. But the thing is, those Keira Knightley lines, they bring up another thing that I think was wrong with the movie, was just the lack of comedy, or just good comedy. Because, like, I was kind of looking at the movie, and I'm like, this has potential to be like a fun adventure movie. It has kind of an unlikely pairing if you look at this guy as a toy per se. But even though, I mean, he's a human. And I don't know, you look at like Pirates, it's a very adventure movie, and the comedy's so good in that movie. I'm not saying, the comedy needed to be the same, but like, this movie would have been 10 times better if it just had some more funny points and more charismatic. I mean, the two soldiers in the movie were not like the side guys, they were kind of like a comedy.
Well, that's another problem too. With like, I feel like this film, they introduce the side characters that would make up like what you're talking about, like in the Pirates film, the periphery characters that actually do stuff,
which are also soldiers dressed in coats. But.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like in Pirates, you had two sets of them. You had the two pirate moron, that pairing that was the two moron pirates. Then you had the two moron British soldiers.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, I think the pirate ones are probably better than the British ones, but they're both entertaining and fun to watch how they interact. So this film copies the British soldier model, and they're in 3 scenes and they don't do anything. Yeah. At the end, you see them crammed together in some like check station box.
Funny, and I'm like, God, if the movie was just a little more funnier, and I think the banter could have been between the Nutcracker and the girl could have been a little bit better.
Well, it felt so flat because it's so obvious. Well, I mean, okay, in the film, he's totally obedient to her because she's the queen and he's unquestioning about it. But it also definitely gives off a vibe of like, I like you. So I mean, imagine this in your own life again. Imagine you being an invisible ghost and you could watch a guy that likes a girl that has absolutely no interest back in him, and the two of them like hanging out together. Like that's literally the dynamic between the Nutcracker and the girl, is that he likes her and she is in full authority and does not like him back. And you just get lines where it's just so like, oh, okay. I mean, he says something like, "Oh, well, you're the smartest queen, and you're the blah blah blah. You're the greatest ever." And she's just like, "Yeah, thank you." And it's like, that's not dynamic. It's just so boring.
I mean, I guess that's not what the movie's about. I mean, that's why I think the father needed to make it to the realm, and then he should have been with the daughter, and that should have been the dynamic, as opposed to a romantic dynamic between the Nutcracker and the girl. Although, since the Nutcracker and the girl in it, I agree, there should have been something more there.
Well, I just feel like
he should have just been a wooden toy, not even a human. That would have looked cool too.
Well, I mean, that's the thing when you're writing an adventure film like this, right? You look at like The Princess Bride, or like we mentioned, Pirates, or even look at a film like the Wizard of Oz film that came out like 5 years ago. I mean, like typically the main hero, like the people kind of josh around with him, or they kind of like they'll say like disparaging things about like Princess Bride, right? The girl is mocking the guy as he's capturing, or as he's rescuing her, right? She's like, you scoundrel, and this and that. She throws him down a hill, and it's like, oh, this is dynamic, right? And Nutcracker, I just feel like I don't know what the directors are thinking, but it's just so boring.
And it's all expositional, she gets there and they just start explaining a bunch of stuff. And,
they're just Keira Knightley, you're the queen, and you're great, and you're the rightful heir. And then, I mean, who would have ever seen the Keira Knightley saying all this stuff? And then she's the evil person in the third act. You're like, oh, okay, well, there we go, I guess.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I mean, the twist, I guess you call it, could have been done a little better. I think it should have been more subtle ways of Keira Knightley, like pushing her dominance on the girl in a way, like her being authoritative, as opposed to like, oh, well, here, the queen arrived, you get a brigade of soldiers, well, a squad or whatever.
Yeah.
And let's go on a little adventure and go attack the girl. And I get that was the point, that Keira Knightley had made it so that Helen Mirren's world was the evil one. But, like, I don't know. It just wasn't, like... It wasn't fleshed out enough. Although I did like the clown stuff, because they were kind of creepy looking.
Well, yeah, that's another thing, too.
You make them think that at least that is the bad guy, because they do look very scary.
I mean, just tonally, that was really random, because, I mean, like, there's a scene that looks like something out of American Horror Story where you got these creepy-looking clowns
they were scary.
inside of a gigantic robot gigantic
Yeah,
clown.
I didn't like the robot thing, but I did like the clowns. I thought it was freaky.
I don't even know if they were, because they were clowns, but they were also the Russian dolls, right? Because they fit inside of each other.
So they were a toy.
Yeah, so they were a toy. And it's just weird when you're watching an evil, overweight, clown-looking thing pull the top of his body, and there's nothing believable.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was freaky, but it very much was the opposite of the other world, where her kingdom, and it was all nice and happy and bright, but the Helen Mirren one was the good one. Yeah, I mean, I think that was successful on that side. I just didn't like the giant robot.
And I mean, I don't want to sound like a unsophisticated, fool or anything, but I mean, is this movie actually anything like the Nutcracker play?
No.
I mean,
the whole fourth realm thing, that's a little bit different.
But I mean, like, what is the actual original story of the Nutcracker? I mean, is it that? Because I almost feel like with this, I almost just feel like, why not just create a whole new property called The Four Realms?
Well, yeah, I think they built upon the Nutcracker idea, right? That was the... I mean, I don't know if there's something beyond the Nutcracker play, but, like, that talks about this kind of stuff. But no, I mean, there's not, like... the giant robots and the toys battling. I mean, not that I don't know. I haven't seen it in forever.
Yeah, I
guess we could look.
I don't remember there being a sexualized toy gun that transforms.
I don't think there was that.
I mean, I just feel like with this story, my biggest thing would just be, why not just create a whole new story called The Four Realms? And I mean, even the Nutcracker song, that the dun 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 dun, that theme. I mean, like, that's barely even in the movie.
Well, I agree. I think all the movie from the ballet should have been, like, intertwined with it.
Yeah, it really was. Other than the one scene that's a ballet that actually describes the Four Realms, I mean, there's barely there's no ballet stuff in the film. There's hardly any music in the film, and there's not in the film. There's not even like. And there's not even a scene with an actual Nutcracker doing anything. There's a scene where her brother...
Well, the soldiers are Nutcrackers.
Yeah, but he doesn't look like a Nutcracker, like the actual Nutcracker.
Alive.
Yeah, but I mean, like, in the real world, there's a scene where her brother's holding a Nutcracker for, like, a second, and, like, you barely even look at it.
Well, see, that's where I think, like, that the whole Christmas vibe could have came in more with all of that. I mean, okay, so it does say, the Nutcracker and the Mouse King, which is a German story. Does follow, the story of a Nutcracker who comes alive, and after defeating the evil Mouse King in battle, let's see, whisk away the young Mary to a magical kingdom populated by dolls. So, I don't know about this, like, power struggle between the two and the different realms, and if the girl, like, with the mom and the queen, or her mom being the queen and all that. I don't know about that.
Well, the Nutcracker isn't even the main character of this
film. But that's the story. I mean, I don't know if the ballet follows that. Yeah, I mean, no, the story's about the girl.
No, story. I mean, which again, if you want to have the story about the girl, that's fine. But it's, why call it Nutcracker? And I mean, again, I feel like this film. I think what had happened with this film is that I think the reason why it didn't make money or wasn't financially successful is because once Morgan Freeman got accused and he got wrapped up in the Me Too thing, I just feel like they basically, Disney, they looked at tracking and they said, well, this film's not going to make money, so we're just, like, going to promote it less. Like, don't you kind of get that perception that Disney kind of just didn't want to drop more money into it, to advertising it?
Yeah, or at least not stuff with them, but... Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what studios do. They will save money on marketing when they think the movie's not going to do good.
Yeah.
Regardless if they actually thought the movie was going to do bad because of the movie or because Morgan Freeman. Because that was weird.
Yeah, I mean, this film, again, I mean, there's scenes where you're going to watch this film and there's going to be a lot of things where you're like, oh, that was weird. I mean, it's weird that the soldiers in the film, they, like, have all this makeup on them. Like, they have makeup for their hair on their heads, and I guess they want to make them look more toyish, maybe.
Well, yeah, that's what it's like what a Nutcracker looks like.
Yeah, but those
like
guys, I don't think they were Nutcrackers.
Yeah, all of them are Nutcrackers. I thought.
I thought this that one soldier Philip was, because I thought they made it like a big thing where it's like he's the Nutcracker.
Oh, I thought they were all Nutcrackers because they had the coat and everything. And
I think they were like common soldiers.
Well, aren't they all Nutcracker soldiers?
Right, I think a lot of them were just tin toy soldiers.
See, no, but they say, remember, he says like they're made out of tin, they're empty. You don't know what's gonna happen when she makes them, and that's why they come out like non-human, the tin soldiers.
Yeah.
And I assume Nutcracker, since they're solid wood, they're not hollow, unlike the tin soldiers.
Well, I thought the whole thing with the reason why the ones that Keira Knightley made look like that was because, like, when she used the device, the toys were like human because she was a human or whatnot. But because Keira Knightley was a toy transforming other toys, they look like toys.
Oh no, I think he has that line. He says they're empty. You don't know. They're not solid, or they're hollow on the inside. You don't know what's going to happen.
Oh.
He says something like that, which is different from a Nutcracker being solid. Isn't a Nutcracker solid wood, except for his like jaw part that can open?
See, I would have also imagined it has to be Nutcrackers that were hollow on the inside.
I don't know if Nutcrackers are hollow.
Anyways, this is definitely a film that, I mean, I'm sure
it's
in
not
a few months...
god awful.
No, it's not god awful. I'm sure in a few months there's going to be someone that's going to have a compilation clips of Keira Knightley making very sexually explicit remarks as a toy.
Yeah, or at least a meme.
I mean, that will happen, so I guess if you want to watch it for that, it's worth it. But everything else, I mean, there's really almost nothing to walk away from this. And I mean, I know there's going to be one person listening to this that they will be in that situation 2 years from now, or
maybe however many years less from now,
yeah,
like 9 months from now.
Yeah, next Christmas time, whatever, 2019, there's going to be somebody, it's just going to be on in the background, maybe at their own family house around Christmas time. And, it'll be good to have it on the background when you're on your phone scrolling, you're reading about whatever, you're reading about the Lakers. It'll be an okay movie then. You're gonna zone out for 25 minutes, and it's gonna cut back to a scene in which 10,000 rats have combined together to form a gigantic rat fighting warrior, which happens in two occasions in the film.
That was not good.
I mean, it's like the first time that they made the mega rat, because basically what happens, all these rats get together and they form a big walking body.
I think they're mice, aren't they?
They're mice, yeah. It was the first thought I thought, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so disgusting, because they're holding the girl in their makeshift hand. But what that tangibly looks like is a bunch of mice like running on a girl, and it's like they look so disgusting. And like, there's a scene in the film where there's these toy soldier things that are the tin ones when they're big, that they're swiping at the army of ultimate rat warrior. And I mean, it's just one of those moments where you're just gonna put your head in your hands and say, what am I watching? Or that'd be one of those things where you're watching it at your house, and like your mom will walk into your bedroom or walk in the living room, and she's gonna say, what am I watching, right? Like, what are you watching? She's gonna walk in and see that, and you're gonna have to describe to her, well, I'm watching the Nutcracker and the Four Realms, and this is the part of the scene in which the giant rat warrior takes on the tin soldiers, and she's gonna say, I don't remember that from the ballet. But anyways, yeah, this film, I guess we call it a one-timer.
From the ballet.
You guess
I was definitely in the ballet. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I guess this one. I guess you call it the one-timer. Like we said earlier, Bohemian Rhapsody was a no-timer. I mean, maybe if your cousin worked on the film, maybe then you'll like it more. Or you're the biggest Queen fan on the planet, maybe you'll like Queen more. But, I mean, yeah, you could easily skip both of these films, and you wouldn't really be missing anything.
I agree. Bye.